Thank you.
Well, yesterday was quite a busy day for the Attorney General. We have heard about the NSS saga, but another addition that has the attention of a lot of people is, of course, that the Attorney General yesterday says that he is freezing several properties across the country, along with a fixed deposit account containing 10 million cedis belonging to the former Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Buffer Stock Company, Abdul Hanan Wahab. According to the Attorney General, a painstaking investigation uncovered how between 2017 and 2024, Mr. Wahab and his wife and others allegedly siphoned over 78 million Ghana cedis from the company's account into various firms they had secretly established. I probably will just take a minute, right, and run you through some of the things that the Attorney General was telling us are the purported or alleged properties of Abdul Wahab Hanan. So, former CEO of National Food and Buffer Stock Company. 1, 5-bedroom houses at chain homes, and the value is $1,625,000 US. 3-bedroom house at cantonment, the value is $600,000. Plots of land at airport development, the value is $750,000 US Donald Trump's dollars. 17-bedroom boutique hotel at Gumeni in Tamale. Gumani. What's it called? Gumani in Tamale, $250,000 US. 4-bedroom bungalow situated at Jawolo, Accra, 4,140,000 cedis. 451 Ghana cedis, and also purchased a 32-acre government land, 317,200 Ghana cedis. Those are the values of the properties that the Attorney General has been telling us that they are frozen. He has since responded on his social media wall saying that the facts do not reflect exactly what it looks like and that he hopes that he would have his day in court. I'll come to you, Dr. Kopon. I'm certain when you were listening to this, I mean, because you people have done a lot of work at CDD, corruption and all of that, how does this come to you?
So I always go back to one of the most instructive pieces I read as a graduate student, and it was titled Police Patrols versus Fire Alarms. And it was this idea of accountability in the public sector, and how do you ensure that you provide the kind of oversight that if you think about police patrols, right, it anticipates quote-unquote wrongdoing, right? It wants to make sure that nobody is breaking the speed limit, it's not committing crime, etc., etc. So if your police patrols work, you should be able to anticipate certain things and even catch it before it happens. When it doesn't, then your other fallback position is what we call fire alarms. The alarm goes off because there's some investigative report, and then you respond to it. But sometimes, by the time the fire alarm blows, the damage would have already been caused. Anytime I listen to the Attorney General, anytime I read the Auditor General's report, the one thing that I find very baffling is that across all our public sector agencies, for example, we have internal auditors, right? We have police patrols. So I keep asking myself that, how come that throughout the entire process, that at some point, none of these police patrols were able to catch some of these allegations that purportedly is costing the nation so much? Professor Kwesi Prempeh said something very instructive to me last week when I met with him. He said, the other thing you have to ask yourself is, perhaps those police patrols and fire alarms have been intentionally disabled, right? And when they've been disabled, then they can't even do what they are supposed to do. It is, I don't think I would even watch the next AG press briefing, because some of these revelations also start making you kind of cynical, right? You start wondering what truly motivates people who want to go into, into public office, right? Is it in the best interest of the nation, or is it to pursue some narrow, selfish interest? It is worrying, but for me, ultimately, it's one of the reasons why our anti-corruption fight, and especially the government's commitment to oral, must remain and must succeed. Otherwise, you would end up, like I said, otherwise you're going to end up in a place where citizens are going to start thinking public resources is free for all, and there are no consequences for engaging in some of these alleged acts. Surely, whoever has been accused of engaging in any of these malfeasance has to be given their due process, a right to defend themselves, etc., etc. But even on the face of it, when you read some of these things and hear some of these things, you start asking yourself, what is really the issue with the way our public accountability architecture is? The last thing I'll add is, I'm working on a report on public ethics and whether there are any gaps in our public ethics architecture. And I'm just amazed to see all the provisions in the Constitution, in statutes, in acts, the different agencies, the different public professional bodies, whether it's the Public Services Commission, the Civil Service, all the rules around code of conduct, the do's and don'ts around bribery, nepotism, and all of those things. So we do have an amazing public ethics architecture in place. So again, the question is, what happens to that architecture that at the end of the day, we're reading some of these stories and seeing some of these allegations of public malfeasance, right? Is it that, as Professor Kwesi Prempeh said, we have them, but we have intentionally found a way to disable them so that we can get around it and make sure we can get away with some of these things?
Okay. Elikem, so yesterday, if you juxtapose what Domelevo was saying yesterday, and the AG as well asking for some patience. Now, Mr. Domelevo seems to be worried about the justice system as it already exists, because he fears that and I'll quote him, the good work that the Attorney General is doing might not, give us the exact result that all of us are anticipating because of the way our justice system is, with the AG himself asking for some patience. Do you genuinely believe that all of these press briefings, all of these painstaking investigation, as the AG has said, would definitely see some of our anticipations and our expectations come to light? Do you genuinely see that?
Thank you. There's no doubt, and it is normal, that there shall be some forms of skepticism over whatever is going on, especially because of the kind of very perceived compromised or highly compromised judiciary that we witnessed in the past decade. It is therefore justified for anybody, not only Domelevo, any other person, to feel that, oh, this is Ghana. After a while, this will go off and all that. And it is the reason why some even feel that the accused even have the effrontery to be entering a plea of not guilty in instances like this. And I am not surprised. And when we even talked about ethics, look, for instance, a week from today, on the 29th, I will be delivering a speech on ethics with the Ohio State University and the University of Nairobi. And this is by reason of the fact that at the program, I stood higher grounds on some matters of principle that they felt. One Professor Donald said, look, Elikem, we will need you to do more of this for us. I have asked myself many times, and it seems this enterprise is now becoming one of husband and wife. And you see, I want to send some few little caution first. This clearly, as the Attorney General took us through yesterday, should serve as a strong warning, not only to the opposition, but even to those of us in government, that if you also dare abuse that position given you today, you'll be held so accountable, and knowing who you are dealing with today, you may even be dealt with ruthlessly than you are doing today. And so, if you are an appointee of President Mahama, live by the very dictates that he reflects as incorruptible, as placing Ghana first and achieving what he needs to do. when I was listening to all that was happening yesterday, and if you recall 2 weeks ago, I think we spoke about oral, where many were also raising the concern that it was taking too long. And we had to reiterate that the wheels of justice grind slowly. And the Attorney General reiterated that yesterday, that he has been a good lawyer in good standing in his past.
Not to cut you, but you think that people are of this opinion and the Attorney General feeling pressured because of the way you promised and because of the way you use oral as a tool to want to win election?
Yeah, to an extent I agree. I mean, I recall that he even said that particularly here. And I said that, look, many are raising concerns because when you campaign, the messages you give them, everybody has what matters most to him or her. Somebody cares about the e-levy that has been cancelled. So once e-levy has been cancelled, he feels or she feels that once you have done that, you have fulfilled what you have promised to me. Somebody also feels that once you have initiated big push and it affects me because you are doing the road from so and so to that place, you have satisfied the demand that I want. So there are many people with varying expectations of government. That is why I said here the last time that indeed we all need to know that all the promises are supposed to be fulfilled within the tenure of the government, but not instantly. And that is why it is instructive to again appreciate that President Mahama or the government is taking turns to do things one after the other. And very good, the Attorney General made it very clear that he doesn't feel pressured at all. He is just making sure he is taking time to build his docket very well, watertight, so that when it's submitted or when he goes to court, he wants to make sure there's a positive impact for him not to be disgraced.
Before I move to Dr. Okay.
If I can make a quick point.
Yeah.
So beyond even just the political promise of oral and the pressure that the AG is feeling, part of the angst that you are also seeing among Ghanaians is this growing perception captured by Afrobarometer that officials who do wrong, quote unquote, often go unpunished. So if you look at as far back as round 4 in 2008, it was only about 20-something% of Ghanaians who said most or often these officials go unpunished. But by the most recent round in 2024, it had shot up to about 70-something%. So part of the angst you're feeling from Ghanaians is also the fact that they perceive a justice system that appears to not really hold, quote unquote, the big men and women, the officials who, quote unquote, do wrong, accountable. So that's also part of the pressure that I believe the AG would feel because it is reflective of something that Ghanaians are starting to say as captured by AB that, yeah, these people would do all of these quote-unquote bad things and they would get away with it.
Right, right.
And you see, in the very past, a lot of times during campaigns, corruption has been a very topical issue.
Absolutely.
Where in the end, only 1 or 2 people are prosecuted because either their issues are so grave that we feel there's a small sin and there's a bigger sin and let's punish the bigger sin and let the small sin go. Or sometimes we rather punish the small sin and let go of the bigger sin. So many Ghanaians are expecting this. And let me tell you, many have not paid attention to this. This is the first time in Ghana's history that a government has taken over and within less than a year has begun prosecution of people within the previous regime. Never has this happened before. It has always been after a year because every government wants to make sure it builds its dockets very well. So this government is doing what is best, but because there's so much agitation and also because the way and manner in which the previous regime demonstrated their governance in terms of corruption and the things we saw glaringly, which was corruption, and they defended it. And most painfully, some people who fall within the so-called social media communicators, who blind loyalists, who have not in any way even benefited from these loots, are the ones on the necks of
That's how politics has always been, has it not?
Defending this. I will not do that. Look, I am a young person who believes that my future is very paramount to myself. I must leave a legacy for my children and my generations yet unborn. And so if you are wrong and you are even my friend, 2 things. Count me out to defend you. I will stay mute.
Let me talk to Dr. And I'll come to you now after Dr. Zaato. Okay. Also in your submission, let's touch on the language of the Attorney General. some lawyers, some people have said that the language he uses when he's addressing is almost as though he has found the people guilty already. Do you agree to this assertion?
Thank you. I've advocated a theory of regime or post-regime accountability. My fundamental belief is that every government has a right to hold your appointees accountable for whatever they have done and not done. And if you're a government appointee, the day you raise your hand, take an oath to do the same, you must be prepared to be held accountable. I call that regime accountability. I also believe in post-regime accountability, where if the government is unwilling or unable to hold your own people accountable, then the next government that is coming has a duty, a fiduciary duty, a fundamental duty to hold you accountable. Of course, we can talk about the protection of fundamental human rights, presumptions of innocence, and all that. They all come inside. But the basic rules. So one, you will never see me sitting anywhere and defend or try to say, don't prosecute the person for this, don't do that. I will never do that. If the person's fundamental human rights are being abused, I will say it. If I believe that you are using the judicial system rather as a tool, as a weapon against the person, I will say it. But the fact that you are just prosecuting somebody for alleged crimes, I will say that. I have no problem with that. Two, when I see these figures from buffer stock, they are obscene. They're just obscene. And coming from buffer stock. There are some organizations you see to say these monies are coming from there. Like, oh, yeah, I can see that. Not buffer stock. The NPP introduced free HSS. It is one of the biggest social interventionist processes in Ghana's history. Posterity will thank Nana Addo Akufo-Addo for that policy. Posterity will be fair, and history will judge him fairly and be nice to him for that policy. But something happened post-2020 after the elections. The NDC and also civil society organizations began to realize something. The quality of food in secondary schools began deteriorating at a fast rate. I think this media house actually did a documentary on it.
Yeah.
So I'm asking, buffer stock had this money and there was no food for students?
He must. And it's a hazard.
Buffer stock, like I'm just saying, I'm hoping these monies exist because sometimes accountants have a way of labeling things as money when it's not real money. You know, I hope it's not a tree or something that they say this is the value, so there is the value. Did this money actually exist in the accounts of buffer stock? Just take the 1.6 million alone could have fed all students in Ghana. Going into the 2024 elections, that was the biggest criticism of the NPP. And whenever you mention it, every member of the NPP was put on the defense. That was how we could not write on the free HSS to another victory.
How do you expect the NPP to be reacting to this?
I don't care what they react. I care about what I react. And I'm just telling you how I'm reacting is that, was this money real? Was it there? And you couldn't feed the students? They couldn't get the money. Was it real? Was this money there? I hope, again, presumptions of innocence. That when you go to court, we'll do this. But there's something. So that's my second thing that's there. Again, I'm happy that there's that presumptions of innocence. The man has issued a statement. Again, we hope that the judiciary, the legal system will be fair to him, will be just to him. He will have every opportunity to prove his innocence and everything. But again, I said, wow, these are really obscene. I mean, I'm just saying, if you give me just one of them, any one of them at all, I'll be a rich man. I'll probably stop teaching. Okay, especially the first one, you just give me that money, I'll stop teaching. I promise you that MFA. Make it happen. But let's come down to something. Then, that is what I'm saying. Attorney General, again, he's doing these investigations. It's a human man's job. Thank you, Dr. Ayine, for this. But then I come to the next thing, which is this.
Which one? Dr.
Ayine is saying that he will not accept any deals. He's not accepting any deals. I come from a school of thought, and I think Mr. Martin Kwebu also comes from that school of thought that sometimes you believe in what? Retrievals. That if the person can pay all the money with some interest, he believes in that. I come from that school of thought too. Also believe. But there's something here. The Attorney General said, no, na lie. I won't take any deal in this case. Okay. Mr. Attorney General, where do you find this newfound hesitancy to no deals? When did you develop it? When you were doing the bank thing, what's that bank?
When you meant deal, do you mean that he says you what? Bargain plea?
He said he wouldn't do that. I heard him say he wouldn't do anything. He didn't. Did you develop this new appetite for no bargain pleas when you're doing the what's the bank thing? That bank? The Dufour bank thing. When you gave Dufour 40-60, you didn't have this. when you gave nolle prosecutions to about 7 high-profile NDC people.
I think he was referring to the Ashanti Regional MPP.
Yes, but he also said that in the part of the
stock.
distance, there was this thing that people are trying to come to you to make deals. Even I think he said, but he won't take any of that. My point is that if you can go, the same Attorney General, give out up to 7 nolle prosecutions, do you know the amount of monies? Those monies mirror this one. Those monies are far more than these monies. Even the 60-40 sharing you are doing with the Dufour Bank is almost this amount or more than this amount of money. So when it comes to Dufour, you do 60-40. When it comes to the Cocoa Board trial, the Senate trial, name them, help me name them, Elekem. You know
Why would Elekem help you name them?
When it comes to all those things involving high-profile NDC men, you give them sweetheart deals. Oh, wait, don't worry, I've got you. I've got your back. Sort it out, go. Don't come to
But
now you are now saying that when it comes to any of these people, now you are saying, if it is any of these people who are your political opponents, no deal. That's not justice, that's not fairness. That's Tom and Jerry justice. That's not fairness. My point is that if you think that you could have given these people nolle prosecutions to go and sit home with all the obscene amounts of money that they took, why don't you put that offer on the table for these people? That way, because again, you are also Minister of Justice. Where is the justice?
Talking about justice and talking about language and talking about what he would accept and what he would not accept, what do you say to people on social media? And I know you can respond to this. What do you say to people in public discourse saying that the Attorney General introducing the lifestyle of the Buffer Stock CEO's wife, listing the number of handbags.
I've not yet ended. I wanted to come there. Oh, no, Nana, you have full.
I think I'll be biased towards Zaato.
I just want to make a point. So where is the justice, Mr. Justice? But there's a point. There's more point I want to make. All of a sudden, we are seeing a big involvement of women, of wives, in these things. Remember, previously, the women were almost at the background. We've never, in fact, if you look at almost like all the 7 high-profile NDC people that I've mentioned that they were going to try, we didn't see their wives. What is with the NDC people and their wives? We don't love your wives. Your wives don't love good things. What? Why? All of a sudden, the women are showing up. We said we want a lot of women in the politics, so the women are showing up. So we show you something. You don't love your women so much. You didn't involve them. But these people, and MPP guys are showing that they are very romantic and they are their wives. The point I'm making is this.
Don't romanticize corruption.
I'm not romanticizing corruption. I don't know. I've made my substantive points. Can I have my bite? All of a sudden, they are seeing the role of women.
We need to move.
What role is this?
I don't know.
Example.
She's saying that all these crimes were done with the active support of the wife.
Okay.
In the
National Security.
Against all, we need students of politics. We need to begin to study what is happening, just like he said about the guardrails and the lack of guardrails, that we need to explore more. We need to also begin to explore this more. What is happening? Is the landscape changing? And how is it changing? That right now, we are seeing that the Attorney General is making claims. Again, presumptions of innocence. They are only stand to prove guilty. But there's something happening. And again, Minister of Justice, prove that you are a Minister of Justice and not just a Minister of NDC. Prove that you can, if you can give people purely prosecute, do the same here. That's justice. That's fairness.
But he's not. The people haven't even been found guilty yet. You're asking for.
But it's the same with the nolle prosecutors. They've not been found guilty. He gave them. It's the same. It's the same. It's the same. It's the same. It's the same.
Can I have my bite?
Have your time.
No, you won't have your bite. You are done. He's stopped for you.
First of all, let's put it on record. The Attorney General never, in his presentation, stated that he is against plea bargaining. He was very specific. He said that Wontumi had proposed to him a plea bargain.
Private.
Said no, because of the propaganda and the history of presentation. Make it open in the court. Say it in the court, and so that my name, which has been mentioned as to be cutting deals behind closed doors, would be cleansed. Plea bargaining is acceptable in the rules of engagement. So he never said. I mean, I took my time to listen to the whole press briefing because of the quantum of money that is involved. Emefa, what you have on your screens is in dollars and in cedis, and you see, when you have put all together, dog, we are talking about almost 50 million Ghana cedis, depending on the rate you use.
And that's just what is known.
This is what is. We are talking about 50 million Ghana cedis. This is just what is known, what has been listed.
There's 10 million.
Even my fear was the boldness to even go and buy a house in chain homes where the president lives. See, sometimes as a young man, when you are doing things, you actually do it with an iota of fear that you do not want to be seen rubbing shoulders with the elders. The boldness to go to chain homes and go and buy a house. My dream, anyway. But Emefa, there is something that we need to deal with fundamentally. When we were unveiling the name of our political party, the United Party, my interim leader, Alan Tremantin, made a statement. And when you box it all together, the party is being built or being moved on 3 main wheels. I mean, there are a lot, but when you build them together, that's what it is. Number 1 is integrity. Number 2 is discipline. Number 3 is ethical leadership. And when you break the ethical leadership down, we are talking about honesty, we are talking about selflessness and service to the people, we are talking about patriotism. You understand me? Emefa, where lies all of this in you as a Ghanaian citizen? If this comes out to be true, and Senior, you are from CDD. I think that the civic society organizations are not doing us some good to an extent. When the political parties are campaigning and they are presenting their manifestos to the country, I would want to propose that you pin them to the wall for them to specifically mention in line of governance how to deal with issues of corruption practically. We presented a copy of our Great Transformational Plan to your office. Under corruption, we had stated that we would amend the existing asset declaration rules to strengthen and also to disclose and introduce new forms of asset tracking and recovery, including but not limited to instruments such as lifestyle audit. This is in the Great Transformational Plan. And I dare the NDC and the NPP to state practically if they have any of such in their manifestos. When we
you have introduced nearly something that's mirroring this or not, you know. It's not particularly a lifestyle audit, but the code of conduct.
The code of conduct seeks to validate almost what he is.
That was why I was very particular about my choice of words.
You want on a specific...
There should be specifications. Please. Okay. There should be specifications where you become a CEO, a deputy CEO. And in less than a year or 2 or 4, let's assume, then you are already driving luxurious cars. The NSS saga, when it came up, I was in a barbering salon. When the barber was shaving me, now call NSS where cars will move chikran and see intimate. You understand me? Lifestyle audit. A person who could not afford probably an ordinary watch we all putting on now wears very expensive, and they do not do it in hiding, with impunity to our faces. They become party executives and they now begin to hold purses with brand names that they couldn't have afforded even if they are being paid for 4 years.
Are we about to throw the baby away with the bathwater? The purses that have brand names, as in... like
you are here, you can't afford 1,000 Ghana cedis back. You have become a CEO or a party executive within 3 years, 4 years. You are already holding a purse that is in the ranges of $10,000 to $20,000. I mean, no, let's be real.
Anyway,
you are riding in economy and premium economy like me.
Have you ever taken a flight with MFA before?
All of a sudden,
rise in the economy.
All of a sudden, you are already not even business class. You are now doing in first class. No, let's be real.
I don't work for any
You see, the issue about personal integrity.
Yeah.
Personal integrity should be on the top. What we want to deal with issues of corruption.
It's very surprising for somebody like the CEO of a buffer stock to own all these properties if eventually they're confirmed. Of course, we've got to take the Attorney General's words.
I was going to come to that briefly. That
some people say that. Some people say that as a country, so being is strange.
Yeah.
No, nobody, nobody. Me, I'm a Christian. I've stated it. I am not against the blessings of God. But you see, I stated here, I think on Saturday, I said most of these crimes we are seeing are organized crimes, which were unintelligently executed.
Okay.
Just to land onto this, please give them time. Give me time. See, the Auditor General and the articles in our Constitution and the acts that deals with issues of audit and their reports should be amended. Why do I say this? There are some of the crimes and some of these corrupt activities that are so much clear that there is no need for any further investigations. I'll give you an example. You go to face the Public Accounts Committee. Mm-hmm. Somebody dies. You attend the person's funeral. You give funeral donations. The person's whatever entitlement has been paid. And you, the accountant, the finance director, and the heads of the institution, you are still validating that ghost to be receiving salary. MFA, do we need any further investigation to give such a person a summary dismissal and to freeze his assets?
Unfortunately, that's what our laws look like.
I mean, I can.
But
you see, if you're mad at the Constitution that's right in front of you.
One of the biggest problems is when we start off by saying God's blessings. What is the definition of God's blessings? I am a Christian too, but let us stop these things. It is what people have done to perpetuate their crimes in the name of God. So you go and commit a crime, they even do that, and it is the reason why in the church they are even adored and given the front rows. So
how can a Galatia be made a chairman of a house?
Yes. So we don't know the source. We don't know the source of your fund. But once you come to church and you are saying, I'm sponsoring this, I'm sponsoring that, they do. And they commit such crimes, then they go to church thanking God for blessing them.
Okay.
And you see, look, I frown so much on these things and don't want to hear even God being mentioned in it. It has no relationship with God at all. At all, at all. Look, I know Gifty Oware, for instance. I have known her when we were in opposition. And the buffer stock man as well. Look, even if she was my sister, I would ask the Lord to be very strict and jail her so it serves as a serious deterrent to any other person. Look, as a parent, as a young person, I feel so worried that politics has become so attractive to the young people, not because they want to solve problems, because they feel it is the shortest route to making money. And we must look at this. If it is not dealt with under this regime, and that is why I'm happy that President Mahama, the judicial system will sit up and they will not feel intimidated. They will feel so free and dispatch justice.
What would you say to people who are saying that you're going ahead of the finality of the case?
No, look.
You're hoping that she's killed, but
yes.
Again, we refer to...
Well, it is up to her to eventually come and prove beyond every reasonable doubt that they are not corrupt or they are... Look, these are no jokes. These things we are talking of are no jokes. These are no jokes at all. These are people who look us in the face. And I said this same thing about Cecilia Dapa. These are people who, when even the poor go to for just school fees, they can pay school fees of even 50,000 people outright. But when you go to them for even 500 cities, they will say, and then they give you 100 cities.
But
and because
the case of the Cecilia Dapa, it's good that you brought
yes,
up. We saw huge sums of monies being said in this particular case, and yet where we are.
And we know what happened. Was that not the same time when the president at the time wrote a perceived love letter to her, almost trying to exonerate her? It's the same thing he did to Akonta Mining, saying he believes Wontumi doesn't engage in any illegality. And
because the lawyer, the president was a lawyer before president.
Let me say two things quickly. The Attorney General never, Nanaya already said it, but let me reiterate it because I'm here. The Attorney General never said that he was not ready to agree terms with these people. He was only saying that considering your posturing and the things you were saying. And if you recall, I think not long ago, Wontumi and I even he wrote some letter to me trying to discount why he called me and all of that. And I said, look, I have never communicated with you. After I went for that raid in Summerboy, you called me saying you are Wontumi, you disagree with what I wrote. Okay, but when am I coming to Kumasi? To hell with you. You are not my friend. I don't know you and I don't want to meet you. To meet you in Kumasi for what?
He has admitted calling you, but he has said that.
That is how corruption starts.
But he admitted.
So when I now go to Kumasi and meet him, we will sit and talk, drink. Obviously, he will pay for the drink. Then when I'm leaving, he said, Charlie, I am not.
You are assuming.
Yes, that is how it is. That is how it is.
Okay.
So you see, if you're not corrupt and all that, why are you now trying to, in the quiet, behind closed doors, want to negotiate a bargain plea? So the Attorney General is only saying that.
His lawyers have come out to say that they haven't.
Well, if you haven't, that's good. Let's assume it is not. You see, I am so happy that this matter, I know, would get to its conclusion. In the case of this nolly prosecutor, etc., you were talking about, matters that you had 8 years and could not prosecute, you want the state to even continue to with this matter, when the Attorney General has now realized that these are frivolous and supposed political agenda to just either denigrate or prolong a certain, and you couldn't even achieve that.
If I just a quick one.
Please let me stay on this for a minute. So, if the Attorney General believes that these were just frivolous, charges against the people that he has released based on a nolly prosecutor, the people were attending to courts every time. The courts never saw any of them as quite frivolous.
But and over 8 years alone, what does that even tell you?
But you have just told me that the wheels of justice grind quite slowly.
I understand that, and I have not taken that out. But that is why I'm saying that for 8 years, let me tell you, one fact we must admit here, 8 years is more than enough time to prosecute anybody for whatever
crime. Why didn't the Attorney General, of course, and when we say why didn't, we're just thinking aloud because he still will be working with the confines of the Constitution. But again, we would ask, why didn't the Attorney General just say that, well, if some people had 8 years to do this and they couldn't do it, I am going to take it upon myself to do it and see if I can do it faster.
Good. It is because within the 8 years, Attorney General would have gone through the documents now and realized that, look, you are just chasing the whirlwind. There's absolutely nothing to go after over these. And so,
but if you agree on a certain percentages of payments, there's an admission of a crime.
No, you see, it is not necessarily crime. You may have done some maladministration or some other acts in one way or the other that may have constituted to a breach. It is different from committing a crime that is seen to be I don't know what term to use.
Okay, maybe I will drop the term crime, but wouldn't it be an admission of the act per which you're being accused of?
So if, for instance, let's assume that I misapply a fund, there's absolutely nothing wrong for me to be asked to
surcharges
to be surcharged if it is seen that there's a way that can be refunded, like when he said that JP. What was the name of the
plan? If Gift Your Worry
paid an excess of 2 million.
Can we impute the same method with Gift Your Worry?
Exactly. Yes, we can, and in two ways. Let me tell you.
What?
But hold on. Let me just answer. If in the case of Gift Your Worry, it is even found that it is crime and that money is with her, first she must be asked to refund the money, but it doesn't vitiate the criminality. So the case of criminality will still be pursued. In fact, I recall an instance of my own self where my phone got missing. In fact, it fell from my car. And there was this guy who took it. I called him, pleading with him that I needed the phone. He could make calls and all. He was tossing me around. Eventually, I managed to get hold of him. Because I was then working at one of the telcos. I called him and lied to him that, hey, I'm calling you from so and so. You have won a raffle. Please come to the office for this, that. Because I traced the calls he made. And then eventually asked him, when you are coming, wear this color of dress and so that we'll give you a motorbike and car you've won. He came over there and we apprehended him. We took him there. I requested for my phone. Somebody also stole the phone from him again. And he was made to pay. After he was paid, I was being asked if I still want to pursue the criminal case against him. And that was it. So yes, they must be made to refund. And since assets will be frozen, and you see the painful thing is that these are even the only ones we know. The ones we don't know may even be just, so this may just be the tip of the iceberg. People look this country in the face, and loot this country to their singular benefits. And we are all struggling saying that we don't have money and all that.
Would go to the National Cathedral.
The issue of the cases that involve politically exposed persons at a very higher ranks, because some are not so high ranks, it is a test of Ghana's commitment to equal justice. I said it yesterday or so on a platform. I said that if any of these cases, like that of Ken Oforiatta, if I was the one in the US or wherever, by now, I would have been brought to this country.
Yeah. Okay.
If it were me that had gone to Makola Market to go and steal cassava just to survive.
Maybe because you don't have the resources to hire
That's
lawyers.
what I'm saying. That my inability not to have resources to hire good lawyers or to hire lawyers does not deny me justice. So it is a test of Ghana's commitment to equal justice, no matter who is involved.
Okay.
We are seeing these things and doing a lot of media engagement. I was engaged with this gentleman, Sami Dakun of OSP.
Yes.
On some of these issues. And I said that if it was another person, we will not have all these technicalities being
thrown about.
Okay.
Let us watch it.
Is that Dr. Zaato?
Yeah, you see,
quickly, well, I'd like us to move to the National Cathedral because the OSP...
when people talk about the fact that the cases were in court for 8 years, then I ask, how long will these cases be in court? You don't know. What I understand is that an Attorney General goes to court, files his case. How long the case is doesn't depend on the Attorney General. I don't think any Attorney General will want his case to run for that long. It depends on the court. So to use the longevity of a case as a justification for giving your political friends a sweetheart deal doesn't work out. Two, Nana Yao just hit on the point. If you are accused of stealing $1 million, that means that you can afford to hire the most expensive and the best legal defense in the country. You can. And these lawyers, that's how they make their money. That's how they make their name. They also then understand, and I said it somewhere yesterday, they also game the system. So right now, if I'm one of these accused people, I will get the best lawyers money can buy in this country, and I will game the system, hoping that the case goes for 8 years. And then they all go for 4 years. If the government leave, they don't leave, go for 8 years. Then my people will come and so give me another prosecution. That has been the process. What I'm saying is that we have made this process so predictable that accused persons can game that system. We've made it predictable. That we know that immediately a change of Attorney General happened because that's what just happened. You don't go and throw away all that amount of money and now you're coming to chase all this money. So the question we ask is, what happened to all that money that these people were told that they did something?
The Attorney General has been telling you that I cannot get all of it, but I can get physically this.
So in those deals, the knowledge prosecutors, why didn't he even, in some of the cases, he didn't even get anything?
Is Gregory Afoko?
Some of those people, he didn't even get a dime. He just let it go. That's the point I'm making. Now, coming back to this.
Is Gregory Afoko?
Again, I'm saying, I pray and hope that...
just draw your attention
to one person that
enjoyed one.
Let me give you
I pray and hope that an Attorney General and that accountability works.
Okay. By way of update, I'm certain that you may have heard, but the Giftiawari case by now in the National Service Authority as of October yesterday is that she was granted bail of 10 million Ghana cedis with 3 sureties by the Accra High Court. She, of course, pleaded not guilty to 5 charges, including stealing, willfully causing financial loss to the state, money laundering, and abuse of public office related to ghost name payroll fraud scandal at the NSA. Now, originally, the amount involved was reported as 653 million Ghana cedis, but recent forensic audit reports from the Attorney General's Department revealed that the amount of the National Service payroll fraud has increased significantly to 2.2 billion Ghana cedis. This is far higher than the initially reported figures. And that's just by way of update. But let's talk about the National Cathedral. Of course, the Attorney General didn't say much. He only drew our attention to the fact that he had given the auditor to the auditor's report. He's given the Auditor General to provide them after 6 weeks a report, a forensic audit, and that I think we've done about 4, nearly about 4. He's expecting to get the final report in the next 2 weeks. What are your expectations, Elikim?
Well, let me be frank with you. If wishes were horses, I would be happy to see even President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo being hauled to the court to answer for that hole he dug, which seemed to be an organized crime unit that he set up to siphon or launder state funds.
That's an interesting allegation.
Yes. I mean, this is, look, our neighbor, Cote d'Ivoire, what's the name? Ofoe Boigny. When he was in his room and had a prayer with his God that he wanted to build for him a place of worship, he did that with private funds. Then President Akufo-Addo, when in opposition, said he was going to build, he has promised God. He even promised God to do that, and which meant it was a promise to be fulfilled in the first 4 years because you were not assured of your second term. And this is somebody who could scam even God. And this is, look. I am a young person, and I found so much on elderly people not holding in fidelity the virtues that we thought they were supposed to hand over to us. This whole National Cathedral thing was another avenue to just scam this entire nation, use some of the religious, the very notable religious leaders, and it's been splashed in most of their faces because they spoke so well of this, they were so convinced. Some of them said not a peso of public funds will be used, and one of the people who I perceive to be criminal, let me say it, one of the people I perceive to be criminal, the finance minister, is at large over there. You recall if you go to even a Sipon Stadium, at the time he read budget, he told us that rehabilitation work there was 90%. A toddler who visits that place will let you know that not even 5% work was done over there up to date. And they are working scot-free. And when you talk of this National Cathedral, President Nana Addo only used our vulnerability as a people, that in anything we mention God, we are careful how we react. We are careful how we criticize. So he used God to scam all of us. And I would look forward to a day. I think the Constitution states the period within which he can be a president or a former president can be. I pray that this is dealt with the speed of light. So that it serves as a deterrent, not to him or the NPP, to the NDC and every Ghanaian, that it doesn't matter who you are. When you involve yourself in such manner of scam, of corruption, of such magnitude, you ought to be dealt with. Look, within the past 8 years, it has become so evident that many individuals have become wealthier than even the state.
At least for this report, we still have about a little over a week to wait.
And yes, and we are all ready to wait because I am looking forward to that day. That place, we pulled down buildings and various offices and all of that. And today, what has happened? 8 years. He was able to even scam God. That is somebody who believed that he is such a confident trickster, he can even scam all of us. Well, and if we don't take this matter up seriously, I will be
have
very
3 more
pained.
minutes, and I'm just going to spread it across. Doc, I'd give you a minute. Dr. Zaato, you'd have a minute. And
I'm sorry I took all your time. I'll be ready to take more of yours if you give me.
Hang on. Dr. Zaato, hang on. Utichi, nyabuti. Utichi.
I don't.
Dr. Papo, please.
Hey, you.
So for me, there's, again, all of these issues are part of the demand for accountability and the demand for answers. In the case of the National Cathedral, I recall that when the decision became public, there was a court case, right, that said, look, this may violate the separation of church and state. It was the first time that you got this idea of what church and state means within the Ghanaian context. Yeah. And the court actually said, look, if this is all about the government, just the state providing land for this project, then we really don't see how this violates the separation of church and state. So as time went on, it became very, intriguing to see that it moved from the state would just provide land, the state would just provide some seed funding, to now the state making very substantial investments in the project. Yeah. And ultimately, there has to be some answers to certain questions of at what point and why did the state decide to expand its involvement in the project that it assured the Supreme Court that all we are doing is just providing land to support a project like that.
Okay, very well said. Dr. Zaato, you have your time.
Yes, thank you.
And it's a minute. Have you seen how Dr. Kwapuan has done it?
When it comes to some of these cases, the lies that the NDC told, the house that the NDC built with lies is collapsing. And it's collapsing because most of it was lies. I heard the Deputy Attorney General is saying something. National Cathedral is about priorities. They believe that. Right now, the argument is that, or was it he was one of them, I don't want to misquote somebody, saying that there was not a crime, it was about priorities. At a time when the country, we didn't have, we always say we don't have food, we don't have water, and you are doing it. If it is about priorities or wrong priorities, then that's a different argument. Because I heard one of them say that.
What about the fact that he wanted to do it and yet
Exactly.
he ended
So
up being the one
again, my point is that you can criticize him for prioritizing it. But that to move from there to saying there was corruption are two different things. They have been audits. Remember when this government came, they did an audit. The audit was published. If there were financial malfeasance in the audit, why aren't they hauled before court by now? There was an audit. Now we are talking. There's another audit. Remember, so we are now coming to audit the auditing of the audit that was done.
Which is not surprising.
I'm not saying it is. The point I'm making is this: you are looking for something. It's not there. You can say it was a wrong priority. I don't know how you do, but the question then becomes: who determines priority? Who determines national priority? Here, the national interest and national priority are determined by the President of the Republic of Ghana. He determines what is national priority. In this case, he has determined that it's a national priority to go to Parliament as a state of certificate of emergency to pass D-levy and not to pass LGBTQ. He has decided that. He has decided that it's a state emergency to go to Parliament to pass holiday bill, but not to repeal, not to declare state of emergency. He is the one declaring what is the national interest. That was what the president did. Agree with him or disagree with him.
So you think that whatever it is, whatever reports that will come, it will be...
No, I'm saying we've already seen reports. And those reports have so far said... No, what the reports have said is that so far, there is no crime. Okay. That's the point I'm making. Now, the president, this thing is now hanging on the neck of the president like an albatross, like a sort of Damocles. He had a choice to make. Turn the place into a disco, turn it into a nightclub, turn it into a pito drinking bar, turn it into whatever you want to do. You have a choice. What are you going to do with this? His Excellency, the former president, was clear. I want to build a house to the glory of God here. But he didn't build it. But God knows his heart. That was his promise. You don't want to. You said you don't want to build it. What are you going to do with it? Because posterity will judge. You are talking about future. Posterity will judge. Here was a president who said he wanted to build this house to the glory of God. He didn't accomplish it. And here was the president, okay, what did you do with it? So tell us what you are going to do with it and stop this.
Let's wait for that report.
Exactly. No. We should wait for what the president will do with it. What that report
wait for the report.
You must do something with that hole. What are you going to do with it? Tell us. We need to know. Want to know.
Please,
the people of God want to know.
If you read the book of 2 Samuel chapter 7.
We are not in change. Stop quoting. We are not in change.
That is where David, I remember, made a promise to God to build him a house. And if you read the account of David very well, he said that he will not build or give unto anything unto God that will not cost him. I believe that all of us as Ghanaians have come to agree that it was a personal commitment by then candidate Akufo-Addo to build a temple unto God as a means of saying thank you. And for that matter, it was a private promise. And I also recall that when this whole Cathedral thing had started, even Ken Ofori-Atta had stated that no single dime of government resources was going to be spent. When that parcel of land was chosen, I raised a question. I said that is government property. We actually pulled down houses where judges were living in. And we went and we were renting houses for these judges at in excess of $2,000 or so a month, if I recall. Then I asked the question, is that not government money? Why would you take government's money to execute a project that you have privately, in your own closet, just like David, promised God? So, in as much as I'm a Christian, and I would love to have a national cathedral, because anytime I drive past the national mosque, I get jealous. I get jealous because they have a beautiful edifice, which has also become something like a tourist center, because I have entered into it, I have toured in it, and I have loved what they have. I would love to have one for myself as a Christian. But if you promise to do it as a private individual, you do not take government's money to execute such a project.
I bet we'll always for
and you see,
reports and
he's not the first.
We'll be able to even.
He's not the first politician who has made such a promise to God in that manner. I have even heard the presentation of some temples and some church buildings to Assemblies of God and to other churches by other politicians. You use your private money to execute. There is nothing wrong. If you have private individuals
you've made that point,
who are able to build
time.
hospitals and orphanages and present to communities, there is nothing wrong if a president decides to build a church, but not with our money.
Well,
and that has to be investigated.
Thank you,
because
gentlemen.
there are elements of money laundering.
Well, thank you so
There are elements of money laundering in that project.
I do not think that report. I do not think that report was meant to criminalize it because it's not the detail of a report. To
Of course, I mean, Zaato would always.
I do not agree to that, but thank you for. I'm sure it has been quite a good breakfast on the review. You want to stay with us? There's so much on the show, gentlemen. Thank you for attending for this table for the review.
Thank you.
And at least that.